Thanks, Clive. Coming up on BBC London this Monday evening. Brazen shoplifting. It's on the rise in the capital. We hear from shop managers who say their stores can be repeatedly targeted.
If you know them and if you recognise them, then what we do, we just lock the door and we stay inside. The last time we done that, they broke our glass on the door.
We'll hear from the Metropolitan Police also tonight. Why we'll be seeing more rental electric scooters on London's roads as trials are expanded. Plus, the push for more al fresco dining to help boost London's hospitality industry. And it was a sight on the River Thames today as HMS Sutherland arrived in the capital. We'll be on board. Hello and a very warm welcome to the programme. It's great to have you with us. We start tonight with shoplifting in London, which has risen by more than 50% over the last year, and some businesses feeling that it's not being taken seriously enough. One shop manager in South East London describes the brazen behaviour of shoplifters that repeatedly targeted his store. The Met Police says it's tackling the problem with stronger neighbourhood teams who will target prolific offenders. Our Home Affairs correspondent Sonia Jessup has been investigating.
Caught on camera, this shoplifter targeted the same store in Crouch End again and again. Over a period of almost 2 years, taking £3,000 worth of board games. And this man repeatedly stole from a supermarket in the city, taking no notice when staff tried to stop him. Shoplifting has soared across London over the last few years, costing businesses, causing fear for employees. At this store in Bromley, the manager says one worker was attacked.
He was punched in the face when they tried to steal something and he tried to stop them. So they punched him in the face and they stole some vape and some bottles of wine and they ran away. They just come in, they just take the stuff and they just walk out as if it's their shop, you know.
He's been sharing CCTV images of the suspects on social media as he says police don't seem to be interested.
If you know them and if you recognise them, then what we do, we just lock the door and we stay inside. The last time we done that, they broke our glass on the door. Yeah, so it's nothing we can do, to be honest.
Not far from him, in Orpington, police say they have been tackling the problem. The local neighbourhood team here focused on prolific offenders, working with stores to gather CCTV and build the strongest case.
You can deal with someone for a £50 shoplift, but when you're dealing with them for 20 shopliftings for £1,000, ultimately the courts see it a little bit differently and that sentencing changes.
They say local stores have seen shoplifting fall by 80%, but building trust with retailers can be a challenge.
A lot of stores, initially, their thought process is, well, what's the point? You're not going to support us. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to change. And by building them relationships with stores and creating that sort of that trust between us as a neighbourhood police officer and a store is paramount.
Across the capital, recorded shoplifting offences rose by 54% last year, almost 90,000 offences in 2024.
When Londoners see some of those figures about how shoplifting has soared over the last few years, they might well think this isn't something the Met Police has a handle on.
So I think what we're seeing today is that we do. What we've seen here in Orpington is the local neighbourhood team focusing on the 13 most prolific offenders that are stealing from shops, but they're not just stealing from shops, they're stealing from cars, they're often stealing from people's homes as well.
I ain't got nothing.
This man, arrested for stealing over £50 worth of soft drinks, was banned from all co-op stores in England and Wales for 3 years. This supermarket shoplifter jailed for 3 months. The prolific board games thief was spared prison. He got a 12-month sentence, suspended for 2 years. Some retailers want tougher penalties. The Federation of Small Businesses is calling for a London-wide focus on the problem.
If we had a portal in place where businesses could upload the information of where they've been targeted, when it's happened, giving confidence to local areas as well, they can take action in that particular area. 1/5 of businesses don't report a crime, and that could be 2/5 of those, so that it doesn't happen because they don't have the confidence it will lead to a prosecution.
The Met is also encouraging retailers to report offences. For now, many still lack confidence that shoplifters will be punished.
And Sonia is with me now. Hi, Sonia. The Met saying their stronger neighbourhood policing is key to solving this, but aren't they also facing cuts?
Indeed. Well, you remember that promise from the Home Office of 13,000 new neighbourhood police officers and community support officers across England and Wales by 2029. Now, the Met has welcomed that, also welcomed more funding from the Mayor, because Sir Sadiq Khan has said that he backs that neighbourhood policing approach. But the Met Commissioner has warned that without more money in the government's June spending review, he may have to cut up to 700 officers, PCSOs and staff by the end of the year. Now, he has promised to protect frontline services, including neighbourhood policing, and the Met has said that we will see schemes like the one we just saw there in Orpington rolled out to other areas of London. But yes, with things like shoplifting and mobile phone theft on the rise, there is that squeeze on resources, and other areas are facing cuts.
And it's not just about policing, as we heard there. It's also about concern over shoplifting penalties.
Yeah, and the Home Office has promised new legislation on this, including scrapping that £200 threshold, which it says means that lower value thefts will be treated more seriously. Also introducing a new specific offence of assaulting a shop worker. Now, some campaigners say that doesn't tackle the underlying issues of why people are stealing, pointing to things like the rising cost of living. But the Federation of Small Businesses says it's really organised criminals that we're talking about here. It says that it welcomes those government reforms, but they do want more done to encourage reporting, backed up, of course, by action, to really give businesses that confidence that this shoplifting is being taken seriously.
OK, Sonia, many thanks for that. Our Home Affairs correspondent, Sonia Jessup, thank you. You're watching BBC London. Plenty more to come, including this.
I'm on board HMS Sutherland, moored alongside our historic warship to find out what it's like to live and work on the Royal Navy's fastest frigate.
Now, whatever you may think of them, rental e-scooters are now widely available to use here in the capital. In fact, a third of boroughs are now part of a rental trial, and it's being expanded. The use of privately owned ones is banned on public roads, but the e-scooters used in the trial meet strict safety standards. And new data from TfL suggests demand is increasing. Here's our transport correspondent, Tom Edwards.
These are rental electric scooters, and they're now being expanded into another London borough, Wandsworth. Transport for London says they're becoming more and more popular, although not with everyone.
They go on the pavement, don't they? When they're going along, they don't go on the road, they go on the pavement.
And that's an issue?
Of course it is.
Do you feel safe when you use them here?
No, absolutely. Also, no. We prefer bikes.
I get why it's faster to get somewhere that would be like a further distance away, but I usually just walk if I'm going far. I'm catching the tube.
Unlike private e-scooters, which are illegal to use on public roads, although that's widely ignored in the capital, rental scooters have regulations on lights and a speed limit. You also have to park them in designated bays.
There is a distinction to be made between private e-scooters and the rental scooters that we've got here. So for the rental trial, we really focus on placing safety at the heart, whether that's through the actual vehicle standards themselves or the processes that we put in place with operators. We have seen that they're safe. We've had very, very few injuries.
TfL says since the trial began, 10 million kilometres have been travelled. There's been a 27% increase in customers taking more than one ride, and the rate of injury is 0.0004%.
We'd like to see the challenge around private e-scooters sorted out. The fact that they are legal to buy but illegal to use on pavements and roads. The fact that there are no vehicle regulations and criteria and safety standards. All of that needs to be sorted out, as it has happened with bikes, cars, trucks, buses and everything else. And so this is a new form of transport in cities. People are using them. We need to work together to make it as safe for everybody.
Until regulation comes in, there's still lots of confusion around which e-scooters are legal and which aren't in London. City Hall thinks it needs resolving. Tom Edwards, BBC London.
Now, tube and rail passengers have faced disruption on many services across the capital this afternoon following a power cut. The Bakerloo, Jubilee, Piccadilly and Elizabeth lines have all been affected into this evening's rush hour. Well, Victoria Hollins joins me now with the latest. What happened?
Yeah, well, as you were saying, Riz, there'll be people who are watching this at home. We've had a real nightmare getting back tonight. And I know, just speaking to a few colleagues briefly just now, actually, they were still having problems getting in at this time in the afternoon as well. One person was telling me it was 2 hours to do what's normally a 30-minute journey. Now, Transport for London say there was what they call a brief interruption of the power supply to the network in southwest London this afternoon. It happened about 2 o'clock, we're told. It was because of a fault on National Grid's equipment and it interrupted power across parts of London. Now, supply to customers, including Transport for London, was restored in less than a minute, we were told. So it was really a brief interruption. But some stations were closed completely, as we can see here. We know that Paddington passengers were told they couldn't get on the Bakerloo line. The entrance was completely shut. Waterloo had big problems as well. TfL's working with National Grid to determine the cause of the outage at the moment. And a brief statement from National Grid. They say they apologise for any inconvenience following a fault on our transmission network. The fault was resolved within seconds and did not interrupt supply from our network, but a consequent voltage dip may have briefly affected power supplies on the low voltage distribution network in the area. But it is resolved, but things are taking a while to get back to normal.
Do we know briefly what is the situation this evening?
Yeah, there is still significant disruption, actually. I think we can have a look at the tube board now to give us an idea of what those are. The Bakerloo line, we know, is suspended at the moment. Severe delays on lots of other lines, the Circle line, Hammersmith and City line, the Jubilee line. The London Overground services have also been affected. There's still part suspensions, too many for me to go through at the moment, as you can see there. But do check if you're going anywhere this evening.
Absolutely, yes. Wise words. For now, with the latest there, Victoria, thank you. A quick look now at some of the day's other news. A construction company and 4 men are to face manslaughter charges over the death of a woman who was killed 7 years ago when she was hit by a pallet of bricks that fell from a crane. Michaela Boer died in hospital after she was struck by 2 tons of material on the corner of Burdett Road in Mile End in 2018. Heathrow says last month was its busiest April on record. More than 7 million passengers used the airport. That's an increase of 5.9% on April last year. Now to a story that's resonating widely online. A young woman says she was body slammed, effectively knocked to the ground by a stranger while walking along a busy canal path in East London. After sharing her experience on TikTok, hundreds of other women have come forward with similar accounts. She's now speaking out to raise awareness, as Bhavani Vadi reports.
On a sunny day, Isla was walking with a friend along the canal in East London, which was bustling with people. Suddenly, a man ran into her so hard, she was knocked down and nearly into the water. She says this was despite him having space on the path to pass freely.
It just happened so quickly, just slammed his whole body weight into me, and I went, literally, I twisted and I slammed on the ground so hard. Even like when you walk along this canal, there's a lot of boats, there's a lot of like glass on the floor, number one, a lot of like metal, concrete. Thank God I just missed it all and I just kind of slammed my body on the grass. Even with the amount of force he hit me with, it's like you cannot accidentally slam someone to the ground with that much force and then just run away.
When she got home, she posted to TikTok to warn others.
No, my makeup is a mess. Yes, see the dried up tears. Please, if you're in London, you need to be so careful.
Since then, she's been contacted by hundreds of women who've had similar experiences.
I had one comment which generally made me so upset. There was this one woman and she said she was pregnant and some guy just slammed her into the ground. But also it's like reading all the comments online about other women and their experiences, how it's happened on the train, on the buses, just walking down the street in broad daylight, not even like, you know, you hear the stories where they tell you, don't walk down dark alleyways at night, don't go down at night. But this just happened in broad daylight on a busy canal path.
What would you say to people who think this is a minor incident?
These types of incidents, they have the potential to escalate. Why should women like myself and other women around London should have to wait for an incident to become so severe, like God forbid on the brink of death or serious injury, for you to feel like you can then phone the police?
The Met says a 38-year-old man from Whitechapel has been arrested on suspicion of common assault and remains in police custody. In a statement, the detective who leads local policing in the area said, "We're very aware of the concern this has caused in the local community. While we have a man in custody, local officers will continue to patrol around the canal and surrounding areas." The 21-year-old says she's still feeling anxious about going out, but is now trying to raise awareness to warn others. Bhavani Vadi, BBC London.
Now, the kind of weather we'll be having this week might make you want to eat al fresco. It was during the pandemic that the government made it easier for restaurants and cafes to serve customers seated outside their premises. Now there are plans for more outdoor eating and drinking areas in the capital. Councils will be able to apply for a share of money from City Hall's Summer Streets Fund, aimed at supporting London's hospitality sector. Well, we can join our reporter Victoria Cook, who can tell us more. Hi there.
Hi Riz, well you join us on Pavilion Road. We're just round the corner from Sloane Square, and as you might be able to tell, this is a fully pedestrianised road. I'm sitting on one of the planters at one end, which stops the cars from coming down here. You join us just as actually the restaurants are tidying up, but just until about 5 minutes ago there was lots of tables and chairs out on the road. The restaurants, the cafes, the bars really take full advantage of it being pedestrianised, and people have been enjoying, and probably still are a little bit over my shoulder, you can see, enjoying a lovely evening here. Well, the local authority is Kensington and Chelsea Borough Council. They say they're a little bit ahead of the game by doing this, ahead of the Mayor's initiative, or this particular initiative, and the leader of the council came to meet us earlier and gave us her views on the Mayor's fund.
He's not offering very much across all of London. I'm sure every bit helps, but he probably needs to up his game a bit if he wants to get anything as nice as this. Look at today. It's a place where people can come together and sit outside, have a coffee. You know, we used to go to Paris to have the Cafe Society. Now we say, don't go to Paris, stay in Kensington and Chelsea.
Well, not everybody agrees with the pedestrianisation of streets, but the hospitality industry says that when ideas like this were used during the pandemic, it could lead to a 15% uplift in sales for restaurants and businesses like this. And certainly people that we spoke to along here said they love the idea and like to see more of it around London.
I think that more streets like this in London would be absolutely lovely. I like streets where there's no cars, you can walk around freely, just feels more like family-esque.
It allows you to walk around, to just escape for a bit from the frenzy that is London, and it just feels a bit more holiday-ish.
London place, especially in the centre, they don't really have enough space, right? It's nice for the people to just enjoy the sun when it's sunny.
Well, we contacted councils across London today to see if they'd be interested in taking a little bit of this fund. It is only £300,000, but if they would be interested in doing it, quite a few have said they are, including Newham and Ealing. And City Hall said, well, yes, they're looking for trailblazing alfresco dining ideas. And they said to the councils they've only got a couple of weeks to get their ideas in before the summer begins, or in our case, maybe before it ends. Back to you.
We'll stay optimistic. Vic, thanks very much. Well, from eating outdoors to playing outdoors, across London, grassroots football teams are more than just places to play. They're key parts of the communities they serve. But with rising costs and fewer places to train, many are struggling to survive. But could support from professional sides be the solution? William Wanji went to meet the Millwall Romans, who say the right backing can make all the difference.
Here's Millwall Romans warming up for their next match, a cup final. They're one of more than 900 grassroots football clubs across the capital. Like many others, they've faced real financial pressures over the years.
So we were pretty much living on a week-to-week basis. It was expensive to rent the pitch, which was poor quality. You're finding a referee that you've got to pay for, even supplying kits and footballs and everything else that go with it.
In the last 35 years, London has lost 20% of its grass pitches, and that's meant fewer places to play and higher costs.
There's relatively few football facilities available, accessibility of facilities, so getting the right facility at the right time, and then the cost of it.
The Romans were one of the lucky clubs.
We were approached by Millwall Community Trust to join a partnership with them.
That's meant access to better facilities and support with costs.
We're in a really a lucky position, because providing a grassroots football in a Sunday league is nearly impossible, to be honest, with the costs involved.
Grassroots football brings in over £1 billion to London's economy each year. It's also estimated to save the NHS hundreds of millions through health benefits.
We've got a target by 2028 to get 9 new 3G facilities, and that would make a really big difference.
3G pitches are artificial football surfaces, meaning they can be used in any weather and don't wear out like grass.
The second thing that we're working on is repurposing kind of urban multi-use game areas into small-sided football facilities.
London FA's plan offers a path forward, but with demand rising and supply shrinking, it is still uncertain whether that will be enough. William Wanji, BBC London.
OK, let's take you to the Thames now, where a warship has arrived in central London. HMS Sutherland is the fastest of its kind in the Royal Navy fleet. It passed under Tower Bridge before docking next to HMS Belfast. Well, Wendy has gained permission to come aboard and we can join her now. Evening, Wendy.
Evening, Riz, and welcome aboard HMS Sutherland. As you say, the Royal Navy says that this is the fastest frigate in their fleet and usually deployed across the globe, but moored this week alongside HMS Belfast, who in her time was one of the most powerful warships and of course fired some of the first shots in the D-Day landing during the Second World War. HMS Sutherland arrived with some fanfare along the River Thames to this part of London today. We got some pictures of the ship being pulled and guided through the Tower Bridge. There were throngs of people, as you can imagine, on either side. Tower Bridge is raised a couple of times a day, about 800 times a year, but not usually for an active warship of this size. So it really was creating quite a scene. There were bagpipes on deck and the officers standing to attention. So we took those pictures from HMS Belfast. We've now hopped across to HMS Sutherland and I'm here with Commanding Officer Wallington Smith and Leading Engineering Technician Lloyd. That's a tricky one to remember. Thank you for allowing us to be here. The question is, what are you doing here in London?
Well, we're here to inform, to engage and to demonstrate what the Royal Navy does every day. You know, what Sutherland gets up to, how the Royal Navy defends the UK and protects our maritime interests.
You must have seen in your career in the Navy some amazing things around the world. How did it compare coming up the River Thames today?
It was truly special today to come up the Thames. I've come up before with the Royal Navy, but never this far. The amount of planning and work that goes into a visit of this scale is enormous. And so to finally be here in such wonderful weather with so many people out to watch us was really special today.
Wonderful. And LET Lloyd, you are not new to the Navy, but you're new to the ship. What are you looking forward to most in your sort of 12 to 18 months on board?
So I think what I'm looking forward to most is just getting my hands in, doing the job that I've sort of joined up to do. And today was very special for me on a personal level because we've quite literally sailed past where I grew up. So that was interesting, and like my mum used to work in the Naval College as well at Greenwich. So it's again very special for me in that.
Amazing, yeah, right past your manor. And of course you are here, you're learning on the job essentially, aren't you, as an engineer? Yeah,
so I'm on a accelerated scheme that should see me back on PO's Petty Officers course in about 18 months, as soon as I got all my qualifications and certificates done on board.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Wonderful. Well done you. And I mean, an amazing career. You're looking up to this man here, I'm sure, who has been around the world and seen some incredible things. Thank you both. Enjoy London. As you say, it is going to be wonderful weather here as well. Now, this may be the last time you see an active warship of this size in this part of the River Thames. And you have until Friday to come and see her for yourself, HMS Sutherland.
Yes, quite spectacular. Wendy, thank you to all three of you there. Thank you. Now, before we get the weather, something to really make you smile. They lit up the stage in yellow in Saturday's semi-final of Britain's Got Talent. The Watford charity and rock band Electric Umbrella narrowly missed out on the final, but they wowed the audience and the judges with their original song, Try Smiling.
When you smile, you can brighten up both our days.
I love the song, I love the lyric, I love that chorus. This is pure joy.
Well, if you look very, very closely, right at the back there is a certain Kate Kinsella. How did it feel to be there and be involved?
It was absolutely amazing. So I'm a volunteer, just a very tiny part of this group, but it's such a privilege to be on the stage on Saturday. It was just fantastic.
And was this more about the message than the win?
I think we won anyway, to be honest. Yes, it is very much about the message. I mean, look at them all. It was just incredible. We're celebrating uniqueness, their uniqueness, giving them a stage. Britain's Got Talent gave them the stage to perform in front of the whole world, just to challenge people's perceptions of what they think of people and show them all the talent that they have within them. It was just incredible. And I think the whole world should just take a bit of a lesson from this. They should all be a little bit more electric umbrella.
A great message. Thank you, Kate, and thank you to them as well. I'd better move out the way and let you get on with the weather, which is hopefully more sunshine.
Well, there has been some sunshine, just to carry on the joyful theme. We had a bit of blue sky for this morning. We have had a little more cloud developing since then, but plenty of sunshine. It's been really warm as well today. But things started to change as we headed through the afternoon. You see these massive big shower clouds. You can see the showers here over in Wapping. Well, they produced some fairly exciting hail, I have to say. This was a video sent in by Rachel S. out in Walters Ash in Buckinghamshire near High Wycombe. Hail, quite large hail actually. So these thunderstorms have been moving across. They've been quite fast moving. We've still got a weather warning in place for thunderstorms. It's valid until 10 o'clock tonight, but they are slowly but surely starting to move out of the way. Now this is their progression. They're moving away westwards, largely dry at least to start with. We've still got this line of cloud coming in from the east, and that could still produce a few showers through the night, but some clear spells, still quite warm, around 10 to 14 Celsius, so still in double figures. So for some quite uncomfortable, especially in central London. Now as we head into tomorrow, again, there is still chance of some showers. Plenty of sunshine around first thing tomorrow morning, but then the heat of the day gets going. Those showers bubbling up. Could be a little bit further south tomorrow, moving away westward. Sunshine elsewhere. And again, the temperature's still going to feel very warm. We're looking at a maximum of 24 Celsius. Now as we head further through the week, things don't really change too much, although we lose the showers. A much drier day for Wednesday, plenty of sunshine. The wind just starts to veer around from the northeast, but doesn't really affect the temperature on Wednesday at least. We're looking at 23 Celsius, another dry day. Now, we really haven't had much rain for the last month or so, and there's not much to come, as you can see here. Overnight Wednesday into Thursday, there will be a bit more cloud moving in. It originates in the southern North Sea, spreading inland. So temperatures take a bit of a dip, bit more of a breeze as well. And that breeze is coming from the northeast, so still fairly chilly. But then as we head further through the week into the weekend, the temperature is getting warmer and the sunshine returns. Riz.
OK, thanks very much indeed, Kate. Thank you. And that is it for now. Thanks very much for watching. More on our website, including spectacular images of the ceramic poppies back at the Tower of London until November. From me and all the team, do enjoy your evening. Bye-bye.